Welcome to Thoroughly Entertained. My name is Scott. Today my sister Krista and I will be talking about Justin Timberlake's new single Suit and Tie, the Super Bowl, and Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. We'll let you know what we thought. Spoiler alert, it sucked.
So, yesterday we went and saw Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters.
Yes, we did.
And, basic premise of the story is the kids get left off in the woods by their father. They find a house full of candy, they eat it, the witch takes them in and they kill the witch. And within that little 5-minute intro, I knew it was going to be terrible. Like, it was just, the way it had been done was like so, there was no context, in fact. Little like emotional development at all, and it was like boom boom, here, eat the candy, Hansel, and I'm just gonna eat you. You know, like it was very quick, and I know I leaned over to you and I was like, oh Scott, this is terrible, and it just went downhill from there.
Yeah, this was my fault. I suggested that we go see this movie. I had seen the trailers over and over again. I thought it looked like it could be fun. I thought the action scenes might be pretty good. I like Jeremy Renner, I like Gemma Arterton. I thought, this might be a campy, interesting, funny type of movie. But nothing really works very well. As you said at the beginning, there's really no exposition for the characters. It just goes immediately into witch grabs him, is trying to fatten him up, the two kids fight back, they kill her, and then from that point on, they are just these witch-hunting badasses who go across the countryside killing every witch in sight. And, when you don't set up the story with anything and you don't give the audience a reason to care about the characters, it's hard to make it very interesting. You never find anybody in this movie particularly interesting.
No, not at all. And we were looking up who the director was, because we're like, who directed this? Because this was not something we were familiar with. Tommy Wirkola from Norway, and this was his first English language piece. He's directed other things, I'm assuming in Norway or somewhere in Europe.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if you're going to do a movie like this that you want it to be funny or campy, then take inspiration from Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Angel, or shows that have done campy and funny and great dialogue well, but he didn't do that.
Yeah, and you don't know if he was trying to be campy or funny because it was so unsuccessful in that direction, but he doesn't really try to be dark or edgy either. And my personal preference for that type of material is I really like the show Grimm on NBC. I like Supernatural. I think The Vampire Diaries is done really well. And in those shows, they're a little bit edgier, darker.
Right.
But he didn't go for that tone either. And so it wasn't humorous or funny, except unintentionally so.
Right.
And it wasn't dark or edgy. And so you never really knew what direction the show was trying to go, or the movie was trying to go. And we thought it was interesting that when we looked in the IMDb credits that Will Ferrell was a producer on this. And I can't imagine what Will Ferrell must have thought when he read the script. He must have thought it was going to be campy and funny and goofy, but, I don't think it was any of those things. Not at all.
No, and even like the witches, like the evil, like how you're supposed to hate and want them to kill these, bad people. Like they were done that they look like they should be in like a Lady Gaga video or something like that. Like they're not even scary to look at. They're just... the action sequences, sometimes they were a little bit clever with the way they decided to kill some of the witches, but the whole premise of the movie is about the fact that the witches are trying to steal and kidnap these children in order to be impervious to fire.
Yeah.
But as we saw in the movie, one witch dies by fire at the very beginning of the movie that they unintentionally shove her into the oven. And then the rest of the movie, they don't kill any witches by fire, so I don't know why this was such a fear for the witches.
You never know why the witches are so hell-bent on avoiding death by fire, since Hansel and Gretel kill witches in 100 different ways. Only one I ever saw was with fire, so I don't understand why being impervious to fire is the end of all their problems.
And the other thing that just surprised me about the action sequences is that Hansel and Gretel get their butts kicked all the time, and they're always only fighting one witch. Yet, as you said in the end of the movie, like, they take on like 50, 70, I don't know like how many witches.
This huge gathering of witches, and they wipe them all out with just the two of them and the help of some plucky townspeople. And like, I don't think the movie worked very well at really any level that they tried to do it. And it was unfortunate that that's what we chose to see this weekend.
And, for our viewers, I would just skip it.
Yeah.
Don't even rent it when it comes out on video. Just be glad that you never saw it. So
pretend you never even heard of it.
All right, let's go on to something else was a slight disappointment this week for us, which is the release of Justin Timberlake's new single, Suit and Tie.
Yeah. My problem with the song is I really never felt like the beat kind of took a hold of you. Because that's one of the things you like a lot about Justin Timberlake's music, is the beats are usually really good. He works with Pharrell, he works with Timberland, and so, usually that's the backbone of his songs, but I really felt like it was kind of shapeless and formless. Like I said, a lot of click, a lot of clack, but not too much substance to the beat in this song, which was what was really disappointing for me, having waited so long to hear some new music.
Yeah, and as a big Justin Timberlake fan myself, I was really excited. And when I downloaded the song before having previewed it all, that first 43 seconds of this, bro, suit, I was like, oh, what is this? And then finally it picked back up, and I was like, okay, that's all right. And then Jay-Z's rap, normally he is amazing at these vocal acrobatics that he does, but because that section of his rap is fairly slow, actually.
Yeah, pedestrian.
He doesn't get to demonstrate his vocal ability to the same skill he normally does. And then it slows back down, the song does again, and then it picks back up at the end. And I was telling my students, because they were really excited that the song had come out, and I was like, I'm going to have to take it into GarageBand and cut it down, cut out the sections that I completely hate to get the song that, it's just fine. It's a fine pop song with a little bit of twist to, some retro R&B feel to it, but it's not what I was hoping that he would come out 6 years later. So
and the thing I like the most about Justin Timberlake is I think his voice, especially for R&B and hip hop, is kind of light and it's airy and it has kind of a finesse to it, and so it's able to sit on top of really thick, heavy, sharp, percussive and concussive beats. And kind of play across the top of it without getting drowned out, which some other artists have a problem with. But with this, the beat itself was light and soft and insubstantial, and so having that with his voice together, it really felt like you were listening to two separate songs at the same time.
Right. I totally agree. So now let's talk about our last topic.
Okay.
Which is the Super Bowl. Why 6 days until the Super Bowl. So as a family, we are huge, massive 49ers fans.
Absolutely.
Always have been. I know I have not followed football at all this season, so why don't you give me sort of a recap of what I can expect next week.
Well, the 49ers and the Ravens are teams that are built with kind of the same philosophy in mind. They both believe in playing really good defense, stopping the run, running the football on offense, and then attacking downfield with the deep passing game. I really think the difference in this game and the difference between these two teams, however, is going to be speed. The San Francisco 49ers are a much younger and faster team, whereas the Ravens, they win because they're smart. They play intelligent. They're not quite as athletic as they used to be, but they know where the football's going, and so they're able to get there in time. But I think in a game where you have two really good head coaches who are going to be matching each other move for move, the biggest difference is as the game goes on, that the more experienced, the older team is going to get a little slower and slower, and the team with more speed is eventually just going to be able to pull away and make big plays at the end of the game. And I think the 49ers are going to take it. My prediction for the final score is 27-20, San Francisco.
All right, well, cross our fingers. Let's hope that they win.
Go 49ers.
And next week's episode, we're going to be talking about the Super Bowl and the commercials and all that fun stuff. All right, great. If you like what you saw, make sure to like us below and share it with your friends, as well as leave your comments. If there's something that you want us to watch or review, we would be happy to do it. Also, make sure to check us out on thoroughly entertained.com. We'll see you next week.